Hello, good morning, boys and girls. My name is Alex Irwin. I am the Director of Youth and Young Adult Ministry at a church also called Mount Olive, but it is in Anoka, Minnesota, which is like 4 hours away from you guys in Des Moines. I used to live in Des Moines, and I was able to give 2 chapels at your school last year. And this year, when they said, hey, can you give us a video? I was so excited because it meant I got to do a chapel with you guys, even though I am not able to be with you. So this is very exciting to me because the thing I love to do most in my life is talk to people about who Jesus is and share with them the way that God is here with us all the time, that God loves us and that God forgives us for the wrong things we do, no matter what. He shows us the greatest love anyone could ever have. What a blessing that is. Today, I was asked to celebrate the June and July birthdays with you guys. So before I get started, I am going to read off the June and July baptismal birthdays. The people who were celebrating baptismal birthdays in June were Linus Pausch, Brian Longoria, Zoe Naki, Jamie Yonkers, Emma Foster Kruger. And in July, we had Joshua Carey, Luke Hell, Thatcher Wyckoff, Stevie Duncan, Alex Fetkether, and Carpenter Pop. I'm sorry if I did not read your names exactly correct, but it was the first time I read some of those names aloud. I don't know if any of you can read and have tried reading a new word aloud before. It can be hard sometimes. Sometimes you don't get it right. It happens. So I apologize if I got your name wrong while I was reading it. Today, we are going to talk about fear and anxiety in our chapel. And there are so many things that people can be afraid of, and there are so many things that can make us nervous. One of the things that I am afraid of is metal spoons. It's kind of a weird thing to be afraid of, but I really don't like the way metal spoons touch your teeth. And I do not like the way it sounds when people's teeth touch their metal spoons. It makes me kind of go, ooh, and it makes me really uncomfortable. I can feel it in my shoulders when somebody bites down on their spoon too hard. It makes me go kind of like this. I don't do well with metal spoons, you guys. And I know that's a weird thing to be afraid of, but whenever I see metal spoons and people holding them and maybe too close to their mouths, I'm just like, oh, please do not bite down on that. Please, please, please. Or if I am forced to use a metal spoon for something, I get kind of like, oh, I really don't want to do this. Do I actually want to eat this food right now? If I can use a fork or a plastic spoon instead of a metal spoon, I will. Anytime. There's just something about metal spoons I just do not like. I don't trust them, you guys. I also totally afraid of dead bugs. Living bugs, they're fine. Dead bugs scare me. I don't know if it's because I'm just waiting for them to come back to life, or if I'm just unsure if they're actually dead or what. But dead bugs, don't put them anywhere near me. I do not like them. Which also includes fake bugs because they're not living bugs. So they make me kind of scared too. Is anyone afraid of clowns? I'm not a fan of clowns. They seem so happy all the time. I don't know if normal anything is ever that happy. Anyone afraid of the dark? Or what about any animals? Are any of you afraid of animals? I'm afraid of cows. I think cows are kind of scary. They're just so big, and I'm not big, you guys. I'm not standing in front of you, but I'm a lot smaller than a cow. You can trust me on that one, okay? We all have fears, and we all react differently to our fears. When I see metal spoons, I don't go hide in a corner. But I do know people that they're so afraid of things that they go and run as far away from whatever they're afraid of as possible, which sometimes means hiding in a corner. I don't know if I'd ever hide in the corner from something, but I've never been in a super scary situation before. So today we're going to talk about someone in the Bible who was afraid and the way God was with them. So here in Joshua 1:9, God says to a man named Joshua, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." I want you to repeat that last part with me. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. One more time. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. You guys, God tells Joshua, who was a grown man at the time, he was like older than your parents. He might even be older than some of your teachers. Yeah, that old. Joshua was a grown man, and he was afraid. And God had to tell him, you don't need to be afraid because I am with you. And God tells us the same thing too. We all have things we're afraid of, but we don't need to be afraid because God is with us. See, what Joshua was afraid of was he was supposed to go from a place where the Israelites were just kind of hanging out to the place that was supposed to become their kingdom. And he was going to be their leader, kind of like their president, right? And all the people knew that they were supposed to turn this area into their kingdom. But there were other people there. How were those people going to feel about this? And not only were there other people there, but he had to lead all these people. And they really liked the last guy who was their leader. And sometimes if people really like one leader, the next leader, they end up not liking them because they wish they were the old leader. So Joshua was in a really weird position because he was about to go into this land and turn it into a kingdom for the Israelites. And they knew that was supposed to happen. And he was taking over for a leader that everyone loved and God loved. Joshua was doubting whether or not he could get the job done. And God said, you don't need to be afraid. This isn't something that I am asking you to do. This is something that I'm telling you I'm going to be with you for. So yes, I'm telling you to go and do this, but I will be there, right? I'm sure all of us could use times where we're reminded God is with us. God is with you. He's with you right now. And he promises to always be with you. Wherever you go is what he says in this verse to Joshua. And it's true. He is with you wherever you go. He is with you whenever you are afraid. Some of us are afraid of the dark, so I'm sure that you get a little more scared at night than you are during the day. Guess what? God is still with you during the night, the same way he was during the day, right? Some of us might be afraid of animals, maybe dogs, right? And when we're out on a walk, everything's all happy until somebody comes walking by with a dog and we get afraid. We don't really know why, but we get afraid. Guess what? God is with you in that moment. Were any of you scared on the first day of school? Raise your hand if you were scared on the first day of school. It's okay. Go ahead. I have a story for you guys. On my first day of kindergarten, I was supposed to be in the same class as my cousin. My cousin is 2 days older than me, so we are like total buds. We've known each other forever, and we were excited for our first day of school. Well, my little brother, who is 5 years younger than me, was like about to be born on my first day of kindergarten. He's been ruining everything for a very long time. But it meant I got to go to my first day of school with my aunt and my cousin. I was so excited. My mom couldn't drop me off at school, but it was okay for me. I was all right leaving my mom. When I got to school, I walked into the classroom. I was excited to make new friends. Was anyone here excited to make new friends on the first day of school? Yeah, I was so excited. And I made a lot of really cool friends when I was in kindergarten. I actually still talk to some of my friends from kindergarten, and that was 20 years ago. It's a long time, folks. I was so ready and excited. My cousin, he wasn't. He hadn't left his mom for a long time before, and he was really afraid to leave her. So he was holding on to my aunt and holding her leg and asking her not to leave, and he was crying. And my aunt, she tells me all the time. I walked up to my cousin and I said, dude, what's going on? We're going to have so much fun. Let's play and make friends. It didn't help my cousin. Even though we were so excited to go to school together, once he realized he was going to have to leave his mom, he was afraid. Have you ever been afraid like that? When I was out at the first day of preschool camp at my new church, there were kids that had been to preschool before that were afraid on the first day of preschool camp. They hadn't left their parents in days, in months, and it was going to be the first time since. So they were scared. That makes sense, you guys. There are a lot of things that we could be afraid of. But God is with you even when you're afraid. And you know what? He doesn't just say he is with you, but he says to be strong and courageous, knowing that he is with you. God doesn't just say, yeah, I'm there, it's all right. He says, be strong and courageous because I am here with you. Be strong and courageous because I am here with you. That's what God says. So can you guys give me a flex? Be strong. Yeah. And then give me a fist bump and courageous. All right. Be strong and courageous, for God is with you wherever you go. He doesn't want you to be strong and courageous just because you're a big, tough person. He wants you to be strong and courageous because he is going to be there with you. He is going to love you, and he is going to take care of you. Sometimes we are not afraid of a specific situation, but we're just really nervous because we don't know what's going to happen next. Have any of you been nervous because you don't know what's going to happen next? Yeah. When I was about your guys' age, I was on a swim team, and I used to race people in the water. And one of the rules is you're not allowed to stop in the water and hold on to something and then start swimming again. But when I was your guys' age, I really struggled swimming across the whole pool without stopping. But I was on the swim team and I had to do it anyways. And I was really afraid before my first meet because I had not been in a race before and I had not done the whole pool length without stopping many times. I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to do it. I ended up being able to do it, and I had a really good swim season too. But I was scared because I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew what I wanted to happen, but I didn't know what was going to happen. And today, I have a book called A Flurry of Worry with my friend Beacon the Toucan, all right? And I would like to read it to you guys. It is about how Beacon gets worried about things. I'm sure you've been worried about something before. And after we're done with that, I'll have one more Bible verse for you and we'll be done here. So, before we get started, I want to give everyone 30 seconds to just kind of go inhale and exhale. And just kind of relax. Give yourself time to get your wiggles out. If you need to get your wiggles out, just sit there and go like this. We're going to take a small brain break before we talk about how God is with Beacon the Toucan when he is worried. I'm sure we've all been worried before, and I'm sure we've all been anxious and tired. So go ahead, get those wiggles out. Give yourself a deep inhale and a deep exhale. All right, good job, you guys. We're going to get started. So this book is called A Flurry of Worry, and it's about our friend, Beacon the Toucan. It says, Beacon the Toucan is going to camp on the beach with his best friends. They'll have a campfire with marshmallows and make midnight sandcastles under the full moon and fall asleep to the sound of the rolling waves. It's going to be so much fun. But Beacon is worried. His backpack is full, but what if he runs out of marshmallows? He stuffs a few extra marshmallows in his great big beak, just in case. But Beacon is still worried. I'm not worried, says Beacon, just a little concerned. What if I can't find shells on the beach? He stores a handful of shells in his beak, just in case. Lots of room for them in there. But Beacon is still worried. I'm not worried, just a little bit bothered. What if I get in the cool ocean breeze? He crams a thick wool hat and socks into his beak, and a scarf too, just in case he gets cold. But Beacon is still worried. I'm not worried, just a little worked up, he says. What if I get extra thirsty? I can't drink the salty ocean water. Beacon slides a big bottle full of water into his beak. Nope. How about 3? Yep, I can fit 3 water bottles because every drop counts. But Beacon is still worried. I'm not worried, just a bit bugged, Beacon says. What if it gets too dark? What if the clouds cover the full moon and I can't see? Beacon finds his biggest, brightest flashlight and puts it in his beak. Beacon's beak is getting really full, you guys. Beacon's beak is starting to feel heavy, but Beacon is still worried. I'm not worried, Beacon says. Just a tad troubled. What if I run out of things to talk about with my friends? He stuffs a radio and some games in his beak. But Beacon is still worried. I'm not worried, just kind of anxious. What if I get bored? He crams a couple of his favorite storybooks into his beak. But Beacon still feels worried. I'm not worried, says Beacon, but I do feel a few butterflies in my tummy. What if I forget my toothbrush? He puts a few extra toothbrushes and 2 tubes of toothpaste into his beak, just in case. But Beacon is still worried. I'm not worried, Beacon says. I'm just a little restless. What if I get lost? What if it rains? What if I get wet? He packs a map, an umbrella, and 2 extra towels in his beak. Humph! Uh-oh! Now Beacon is running late. He needs to get to the beach, but his beak is too heavy. I hope I've got enough stuff, Beacon mumbles. Beacon gets to the beach, barely able to keep his head up straight. He empties his beak on the beach and falls over. Woo! Beacon says. I hope I didn't forget anything. His friends shake their heads. You worry about so many things, says Guac the iguana. But only one thing really matters, says Mo the sloth. Being together, says Hope the jaguar. Worry is a heavy burden. Let God do the worrying for you, Hope says. Beacon raises his head and smiles at his friends. He feels better already. This story reminds us that we can try to have a plan. We can try to be super ready. We can try to not be afraid. But it's not going to fix everything all the time. Even if we're pretending we're not afraid, even if we're the most prepared person in the world, there are still going to be times that are scary. Even though Beacon spent all that time filling his beak, he got to the beach and said, I hope I didn't forget anything. Oh, could you imagine if you guys were so worried before school that you packed everything you could in your bag because who knows, I might want it. And then when you got to school, you realized you forgot your whole backpack. You spent all this time packing it, and then you forgot your backpack, right? Beacon spent all this time packing his beak up with stuff because his backpack was full. And when he got where he was headed, he still didn't know if he had everything he'd need. When we're afraid, that happens to us sometimes. We just start thinking, oh, I need this, or I need that, or I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. What's going to help me? What's going to save me? And Beacon's friends told him, you know what, Beacon? I don't think you can stop fear or worry from happening, but you can trust in God. And why should we trust in God? Well, he tells us, be strong and courageous, because he's with us wherever we are. We know that God is always with us. We don't have to be afraid. He's here, and he is helping us. Our last verse today is from Isaiah 41, verse 13. For I, the Lord your God, hold your right hand. It is I who say to you, fear not. I am the one who helps you. So God tells us to be strong and courageous because he is with us and he helps us. Beacon, he was really relying on himself there. He thought for sure he could figure it all out and be perfectly prepared. But what his friends reminded him was, God will help you. He will be here with you no matter what. God has a plan in each and every one of our lives. For all of you, part of that plan is being here today with one another, with your teachers and your friends, to hear about the fact that God is always with you, and he is the one who will help you in times of trouble. So let's pray to God one last time before we finish up and thank him for being here with us and helping us when we are afraid or worried. Please repeat after me. Dear God, thank you so much for telling me to be strong and courageous because you will be here with me wherever I go, and you will help me. We love you so much. Amen. Thank you so much for joining me today, boys and girls. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and maybe I'll see you some other time soon.